Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to this tutorial on Linux file system navigation. In this video, we're going to be covering the basics of moving around your Linux file system. So if you're completely new to Linux and you don't know how to move around just yet on the file system, this is going to be your guide. We're going to walk you through everything you need to know. All right. So first, we're going to understand the Linux file system. So Linux is different from other operating systems in the way it organizes files. Instead of using drive letters like Windows C drive and D drive, Linux uses a single hierarchical directory structure starting from the root directory. So the root directory is the starting point of the Linux file system. All files and directories stem from this root and it's represented by a single forward slash. Think of it as the top level of your system. Clear the screen. All right. Right now we're in the slash directory. So we're going to go over all the essential directories that you need to know about the Linux file system. So here are your essential directories. The slash bin directory contains essential commands for your binaries. So this is going to be where the system is locating the commands at. So it's going to be your ls command, your cp command, etc. And we're going to get into more details about the commands later. So this is needed for just your basic system functions. So the slash home directory, this is where the personal directories of all users are typically located. For example, if your username is Amy, your home directory will be in slash home slash Amy. Moving on, the slash etc directory. This directory is going to contain your system-wide configuration files like network settings or service configurations. It's going to be where your web servers, your mail server configurations are typically located. The slash var directory is going to hold your variable data like logs and mail logs. The slash tmp directory is going to be where temporary files are created and held for program execution. The slash user directory is going to store your program files. It's where additional software packages and libraries are located. And the slash dev directory is going to contain your files related to devices like your hard drives, your printers, and your system interfaces. All right, so before we dive into file system navigation, it's important for you guys to understand how Linux processes these commands that you enter into the terminal. This background knowledge is going to help you get a clear picture of what's happening when you run a command. So when you type a command in the terminal and press enter, here's what the process is actually. Here's what's going on in the background and what's actually happening. The terminal is running a program called a shell. Most commonly Bash and Linux. You can use some other shells as well, but we're going to focus on Bash for the purposes of this video. So the shell acts as an interpreter that takes the command you type, processes it, and tells the computer what to do. When you type a command, the shell parses it into individual parts. The command itself, any options or arguments. So for example, the ls command. The ls command is going to list files and directories in the current directory that you are in. Minus L is going to be the option, and it's going to list it in a direct format, in a listing type of format. And we can give an argument and go to a specific directory by typing slash bin, for example, which will list the bin directory. So the shell looks for the command you enter in a set of directories called the path. These directories contain executable programs. If it finds the command, it runs it. If not, you'll get an error message. You'll get an error message saying the command was not found, like so. LD not found. So LD is not a command. It looks for it in the path, which contains executable programs. Once the shell finds the command and parses it, it passes the necessary instructions to the kernel, which is the core part of the operating system. The kernel then performs the required tasks, such as navigating the file system or displaying a list of files. This process happens in a fraction of a second, extremely quick, but understanding it will help you see how powerful the shell is for controlling your system. So now that we understand the basic structure of the file system and how commands are interpreted, let's go over some essential commands to navigate through it. So we have the pwd command, which is the print working directory. This command is going to show you the current directory we're in. So right now we're in the slash directory, which is the root of the directory, is the root of the file system, excuse me. And we can kind of navigate throughout the file system, which I'm gonna show you in a second. You can also use the ls command for a more detailed output, like I showed you earlier. ls minus l, which is going to show you all the directories and files in a listed type of a format. We can do ls minus la. A shows the hidden directories that starts with a dot. And now we're going to let's clear the screen first. We can kind of change directories we're going to show you how to change directories. So cd is going to be the change directory command. And let's go to slash bin. Proof of concept, let's print working directory. And look at that, we're in slash bin. You can kind of navigate by, listing the files and directories that you're in, and then moving about in what you see on the screen. So you can navigate relative to the current directory, or you can use absolute directory paths. So for example, I'm going to give you a good example. So we're in the slash directory right now, print working directory. We're in the root directory of the file system, which is slash directory. So if we want to go to the var log directory up here, we're going to see var, and there's a directory log inside of that, inside of directory. So in order to do an absolute path, we're going to change directory var log. So we're going to put the complete path into the terminal. And that's going to take us there. And proof of concept, print working directory, we're in the var log directory. All right, now we can do change directory space dot dot to bring us back to the previous directory, the parent directory. Proof of concept, print working directory, we're in the var directory. Let's clear the screen. All right, so now we're going to work on creating directories, which is we're going to be using the mkdir command, make directory. So to create a directory, we're going to use the mkdir command, followed by the directory name. So we're going to make directory. Let's do new underscore dir for directory. Oh, we're getting permission denied. We're going to cover permissions in a separate video, but let me get out of this for now. So we're going to do mkdir. Let's do new underscore dir. All right, and just so you guys understand, directories we have files and we have directories. Directories essentially hold files. So now that we've made working directory one slash John, proof of concept, let's list out all the files inside of our current directory. And there we go, new underscore dir. All right, so to create a file, we're going to create an empty, whenever you create a file, it's going to typically be empty when we use the touch command. So we're going to use the touch command followed by the file name. Let's do new file.txt. And it doesn't necessarily have to be this format. You can create anything. So it could be touch A. touch B, touch C.pdf, even though it's not formatted correctly to be a PDF, but we just have the file here, abc.pdf and new file.txt. Let's clear the screen. All right, now for removing files and directories, we're going to use the rm command, which is going to be to remove. Let's remove the A file. So we're going to do rma. Let's list it for proof of concept, and the A file is not there. Let's remove B, list it, the B file is not there. So in order to remove a directory, we're going to use the rmdir command. So we're going to rmdir new underscore dir. Proof of concept, let's list, and it's gone. Put the screen. All right. Congratulations. You guys just completed the basics of file system navigation in Linux. By using these commands, you can efficiently move through directories, manage files, and understand how the Linux file system is organized. Now that you know how commands are processed, you have a better understanding of how the shell communicates with the system. So keep practicing these commands and you'll become more comfortable navigating your Linux environment. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more tutorials on Linux and cybersecurity. Thank you, and see you in the next one.